Okay, in this video I'm going to go over kind of the management training process of getting the CRM set up, and that's what we call Connect over here. So everything related to really everything down here, the customer list, calendar, open prospects, agency, pending actions, and then a lot of the reports that come in, like for instance Friday reports and other things. So let's start off with how do we add a new employee. So all the settings, just like in Gmail or really any online applications, your settings is always in the top right hand corner. So click your name in the top right hand corner. You'll see a drop down menu and we have a lot of different options. We first are going to start with general settings. You'll notice on this page there's a big green button that says new employee. Just click on that and then you can add a new employee. You can add as many employees as you want. Real quick, this video is a really good video for managers to watch. It kind of just shows you how our managers go through the system and do their day-to-day stuff, and in about 15 minutes a day they know exactly what's going on with all their clients, and really easy for them to move around. So I'm going to open up this toggle here. These are called toggles, the company settings. And it's pretty straightforward. Name your company, address, city. This will already be filled out. We have you fill this out when you do your online form when we first get you set up. But there's some other stuff in here. It says use the default report templates. Okay. You'll probably want to keep that on yes, but every once in a while you won't want to use that, and that's rarely used, so just keep that turned to yes, and then someday you may notice something in the system where you go, okay, I don't want it to do that. More than likely it's because of that, and you can just contact us down here in the Get Help or call us on our 1-800 number there, so this green Get Help button down here. Use Friday reports. So is what this does, this makes it so your reps have to fill out, not just your reps, really all employees have to fill out a Friday report as to how their week went. And in our Friday reports, and you can customize the questions, we ask questions like, do you have all the training you need? Do you have all the tools you need? Do you want to give anybody a pat on the back this week? Do you have any complaints with traffic? This, that, and the other. Is what we found. It does a few things. One, it will get the reps to kind of really spill their beans, because as we know at radio stations, a lot of times the walls are paper thin, and if someone has a problem with someone or something, they don't want to come talk to you about it. They don't want people to hear it. This is the way it's put into a report, and it's just very official, and we found that the reps and really just all employees will really tell us what's going on in these reports. But also it can potentially save you in litigation. Let's say you have someone that sues you a couple years from now that says you're a hostile work environment. As long as you ask questions like, hey, do you have all the tools you need? Do you have all the training you need? Do you have a problem with anyone? And as long as everything's good to go in those reports, and they decide to bring a lawsuit to your table, you can go and, well, you know, for years and years, so-and-so said that everything was fine, had all the training they needed, had everything they needed. So we do recommend using this, but you don't have to. Is what it does, it puts in an appointment on everybody's calendar at 4 p.m. on Friday. And they could fill it out before then or after. Really not after 3 p.m. on Saturday, because that's when the report goes out. It actually emails you managers and lets you know that, hey, here's all the Friday reports and here's what everybody said. And you can also log in the system and look at those too, and we do that up in reports here, and we go to Friday reports, but they do get emailed to you as long as you've told the system to email you. And excuse me, use default CNA templates. So we have a default CNA in the system that is pretty basic. We used to do like a 21 question CNA, but we found that really drains customers. We've done a really good job of getting it down to about 5 questions, and we can write good ads off those 5 questions, so it makes the CNA nice and short. Now, if you don't like the CNA that we use, and this will be shown to you when we get you set up in the system, you can turn that off, and then you can set your own CNA questions. And you can add multiple CNAs to the system. For instance, at our radio stations, we have a 7-station group in Arizona. We ask different questions for our regular customers, and we actually have a separate one for restaurants, and then we have a third one that's for agencies. So when your rep goes to book that CNA, it'll ask them on their calendar, it'll say, okay, which CNA do you want to use on this particular appointment? Now, this is another feature that can be turned on or off. Require CNAs to be filled out when they're completed. Or I'm sorry, when they're booked. So when they book a CNA in their calendar, they have to fill out the CNA questions to the CNA. If you have this turned off, it will just be one box for them to just put in what happened on that CNA. But most stations like to have that on, so when your reps book a CNA, they have to fill out the questions to that CNA in order to complete their current appointments. This section here you don't need to worry about at all, so don't even worry, just completely ignore that. Now, pending actions. I'm going to go over this in a minute here. That's over here in Connect. The pending action system is kind of the tattletale machine, the anti-neglect machine. It's really probably one of the most powerful tools that a manager has in the system. This just notifies you, the system's going, hey, there might be something off going on here. You may want to check into this. So these are just a few of the settings here. But warn after an appointment's been rescheduled 3 times. So if a rep reschedules an appointment 3 times or more, it's going to let you know. It's going to say, hey, they keep rescheduling this appointment. You may want to figure out if there's some client neglect going on there. So by default, it's set to 3 times. And then warn if an appointment is incomplete after 3 days. Again, we can change this to whatever we want. So if your reps book an appointment on Tuesday and they don't fill out their calendar by Thursday as to what happened on that appointment, it's going to let you know that they didn't fill out their calendar and they're not using the system as they should. I personally would set that to 1 day because I can't remember what happened yesterday. So if I try to fill out my calendar from Tuesday on Thursday, I have to try to think back, 3 days and go, geez, what happened? I personally like putting those on just 1 day, but that's up to you. And then another warning here, warn if a customer has not been seen in 35 days. So ours is set to 35. I believe the default's 31 days. But that makes it so your clients, you make sure that they're seen on a regular basis. As we know, radio salespeople can start juggling a lot of customers and things can start falling through the cracks real easily. So we have the stopgap built in to say, okay, if there's an appointment at least every 35 days, it's going to let me know that that customer hasn't been seen in 35 days. That way you never get that call where they say, I love your stations, you guys are nice enough people, but I got to take my business elsewhere because I haven't seen your rep in nearly 4 months. Now, you're never going to get that because of the system. Here's where you set your traffic system. More than likely, we'll have this set up already. We'll have this selected for you because our system actually integrates with some traffic systems out there. For those of you using Marketron, our Smart Rate system actually integrates with Marketron to where you can export your contracts automatically into Marketron, and we'll go over that in another training. Here's where you link really all files being uploaded, but it's really for the entire system. I know it says production order system, but it's really for the whole system. So this is where all your files are stored. Now, if you don't have a Dropbox or a Google account, I recommend using Google because they give you more space for free. Just sign up for a Google Drive account and you can link it there. You just click one button and it links it up for you. And that way, any files uploaded to the system are also uploaded to your Google Drive online. And you can actually download Google Drive or Dropbox to your computer so you can have a bunch of redundant backups. At our company, we have a computer that's dedicated to this. We know that they're being linked up to Dropbox, but we want to be reassured just in case something happens to Dropbox that all our files are safe. So we download the Dropbox software onto a special computer at our radio station, and then everything's backed up there as well. So as soon as a file is uploaded to Influence FM, it not only goes to Dropbox online, but it simultaneously puts that file in a computer at our radio station. And you can do multiple redundant Dropboxes or Google Drive accounts. So that's how you link those. Now, I'm going to go real slow here. Right now I'm logged in as a super admin. That's just so I can see all the other companies that are using our system. You're just going to have one Dropbox as drop-down menu as a manager of your company. And you can select anybody you want in the company. But as what I'm going to do, I'm going to select my office because I want to look at my sales team settings here. So I'm going to select my office, the South team. And when I do that, I'm acting as the South team now. Now I can look at the sales team settings for the South team. There's our address. Are we on daylight saving time? All the stuff we want there. Now this is also tied to that pending actions, that tattletale machine I was telling you about. Low closing confidence warning. So this could be set different on different offices. Maybe you have a new sales staff and you want to be notified when they're only 30% confident because you want to give them some extra support. So as what this does, when they book a closing call on their calendar, it'll ask them, 1, how much money they're asking for, and then 2, how confident they are between 1 and 100%. Obviously 100% means that the sale is going to go through no problem, and 1% means they're probably not going to sell it. So we put ours at 49%. So if our reps are not at least 49% confident, it's going to email me and let me know they're not very confident. Now the reason we feel those are really important is because they're closing calls. You know, you figure the rep went through the time to do the cold call, the CNA, had some spec spots made, driving around, whatever else they had to do to try and close that client. They probably got 8, 9, 10 man hours into this sale, and they're not very confident. It's probably good that you know, because you can then step in and either help them with the sale, come up with some ideas for them, or actually go with them on the closing because you have better closing capabilities. So we just feel that one's really important. You want to know when your reps aren't very confident, you know, either give them some more training, give them some ideas, or like I said, just go on the closing call with them. Now, traffic emails. So this is for this office who the traffic emails go to. So this includes traffic orders. It includes the contracts that come through on SmartRate, but it also includes the actual traffic orders for the ads that come through. So this email box here, this is who's going to receive the traffic orders and the actual contract traffic orders. Those two things, obviously, you know, one would be the contract when their ads run, what day parts and so on, and the traffic orders would be like the how the ads run, the rotation and whatnot. And you can add multiple emails if you want, as you can see here. Just separate with a semicolon. You could have that go to multiple people. And again, that's for this office, South team. Same with production emails. Okay, so we're going to have production emails go to whoever we want, semicolon to add more than one person. Now, this right here, email a traffic order when a TO is submitted. So that's a traffic order, not a contract traffic order, I should say. So this is the rotation instructions. If this is put in here, it's just when the contracts come through. But maybe they just want to see the contracts, so you put their email in there and leave this off. But if you want them to not only get the contract details, but you also want them to get the traffic order instruction, the rotation instructions, you turn that on to yes. So it's up to you on how you want to do that. Down below here, I wouldn't mess with this too much, but this basically is the copy counter. When they, in our system on the copywriter, it actually counts how many seconds they have left on their copy. And the default we have is 17 characters per second, and we give them a 2-second leeway. So they can basically, if they say they want to write a 30-second ad, it'll only let them go 2 seconds over. Okay, and you can set it for different stations. So if you have a Spanish station that speaks a little bit faster, you can have it be different for that Spanish station. Okay, so that's the general settings. Again, click our name in the top right hand corner, go to general settings. We can add a new employee from there. We can adjust our sales team settings or our company settings. On the sales team settings, just remember to select your actual office that you're in, not an employee. Okay, let's come down here to custom forms. Again, click our name in the top right hand corner, go to custom forms. Here's where we can set our CNAs. If we chose that option to where I don't want to use the default CNAs, I want to use my own in the general settings. So here's an agency, the agency CNA and the regular customer needs analysis. If I click on action, I can edit the ones we have, add questions, delete questions, or I can create a new one here. And then when your reps create a CNA on their calendar, they'll be able to choose from those different CNAs depending on the client. Now here's the Friday reports. Like I went over a little bit earlier, you can see here we have lots of different Friday reports for everybody in the company. We require at our company, everybody in the company fills out a Friday report, whether they're a salesperson or not. We want to know what's going on in production. We want to know what's going on with traffic. We want to know what's going on with the secretary. And of course, we want to know what's going on with sales. So we have different questions that we ask those different departments. And you can create different questions here. And if you want us to kind of use our defaults that we have and then you could edit those, we can also do that as well. Just contact us down here and we can go ahead and get you set up. Next we have calendar settings. So down here we have our campaigns that we can put in here. You put in your campaign, put in your start date and end date. And so this is so you can track your campaigns. Some people call them different names depending on where you are in the country, but we call them campaigns. But for instance, it'd be like your drunk driving package, which we do during the holidays, don't drink and drive, holiday greetings package, holiday liner, internet sales, big boys toys. These are just examples. But you can put all those in there, and then you can start tracking your campaigns, and those are in the reports over here. I'll show you where you can in a minute here under Salesforce activity. So you can see, oh wow, our drunk driving package is doing great this year, or our holiday greetings package isn't doing so good. We won't do that one next year. Now, next option here is custom objections. Now this is where the rep gets a no. Once they get a no, if they book a closing call on their calendar and they didn't sell the client, it's going to ask them why they didn't sell it. Not only do they have to type somewhat of a reason, but it also makes them select one of these default ones here. Customer gave no reason, don't use radio, so on and so forth. And we have like 30 of them there. So more than likely you probably won't have to add a custom one, but there may be one you want to add, and you can add one there and just hit save. And you can add as many as you want by clicking new. And I'm going to show you something here real quick. So these are our defaults here. Again, we've been doing radio for 50 years. The software company we've been doing for 17. We've heard every objection in the world, and these are probably just about all the ones you've heard as well. But we've come up with responses to these objections. I'm going to open a new tab here. In case you don't know what a tab is, this is Google Chrome. I'm going to click on this, and I'm simply going to go to Influence FM. And I'm going to go to blog. And it's one of the last blogs we did here. How to overcome sales objections. This is a great one here. I recommend highlighting this and printing that off and giving that out to all your reps. But business, the economy is killing me. Well, here's 10 ways to overcome that objection. Let me think it over. Oh, let me close that little share option there. Let me think it over. There's 14 to overcome that objection. So it's a long list of things we hear in radio of objections that are right at your fingertips that you can go ahead and print off and give to all your reps to study. So back to the default objections. There's the defaults, and there's where you can add another one, or you click on new. Activity types. Don't mess with this right away. Please sit down with one of our reps and have them go over this with you. Like I said, we've been doing this for nearly 17 years. We've been doing radio forever. We think we should have everything in there. You may have different names for them. Make sure you do a training with us before you mess around with this, because it can get kind of tricky, and I could probably show you why here. The reason is you can obviously name it, but you can add a sales process. And the reason it's complex like this is because it really helps in the metrics and when we're looking at the reports and all that, and we can see how many closing calls have been done, how many change orders, follow-up closings, cancellations, and so on. So, and you can award point values to these as well. So again, try not to mess with these if you don't have to until you actually have a training with one of us. Now we also have report settings. Here's where you can set your budgets. Now this is one of the first things I recommend as a manager you get in and do, is go ahead and set your budgets for each rep. It then will automatically set the office and the company totals for you, and you can set these well into the future. And you got budget versus billing, but the only thing you got to remember, the most important thing, is just make sure you scroll to the right and you hit save on each one. So real important that you do that. And then here's where our report emails are. This is where you can actually say if you want the daily activity report or not, the uncleared activity report, the completed activity report, the leaderboard, the Friday report, the company pros report. So if you just open these up, you can select your name and then hit save. And then if you want this to go to another email that's not associated with the Influence FM system, so maybe your Gmail or something, you can put your Gmail in there and then it'll also go to your Gmail as well. Now we also have traffic import, which I'll go over later with your traffic department, because we can import your projections and collections, and there's other cool features in there, but we won't go over that just now. So what I want to do is show you how to edit someone's profile. So first of all, you got to actually select that person. So anytime you either select an office or that person, you're acting as that person. So let's go ahead and mess with, we'll go with Savannah here. And now I'm going to go to her profile. So I have Savannah selected, and I'm going to her profile. At the top here, you'll see employee rights. Now this can get kind of tricky. If we open this up, there's a lot of stuff. That's one thing that's really good about our system, but it also can be kind of burdensome because there's so many settings. But as what's good about that, you can go, okay, I don't want the secretary to be able to see these reports. I don't want the secretary to be able to do this, but I do want her to be able to do this. This can all be very much customizable. And so all the way down to smart rate settings, which we haven't gone over yet, and same with the production order system. But you can really fine-tune each person's rights. And again, it's probably best when we get you guys set up in the system, you tell us their position and we kind of guesstimate as to what they should be able to do, and then we can fine-tune them as you start using the system. And you can do that by contacting us down here, calling the number, or actually scheduling a training, and we could sit down and go through all of them. So that's employee rights. That's the toggle there. But down below that, your reps will actually see this stuff. They're not going to see the options to change their rights. But here they can upload their profile picture, their username, their password, all that good stuff, what office they're in. They can be in multiple offices. Now, this is a new feature, but you can have people be in multiple offices. So if they're in your south office, they're in your north office, and they're in your office in Bangladesh, you can have them be in all three of those offices. And then they'll be able to select from those different calendars. It gets a little bit more complex when you do that, but nevertheless, it's a necessity for people that are can sell multiple markets. And they got their email in there. That's their default email. If they want their default email to be their reminder email as well, they can keep that the same. But maybe they want their reminder email to go someplace else. They can do that. They can put in their cell number. Now this view here, we really built this for production orders and our production department and traffic department. This really shouldn't be messed with unless it's the production director or traffic director. Here they can put in their biography and so on. Oh, and by the way, one thing I forgot, max customers. We're at 160. It shows the rep what their max customers are right here, so it will tell them. But if you ever want to increase that, you actually have to go to employee rights and change that there. So they will never be able to claim more than 160 customers. And just make sure you hit save. Anytime you change any of this stuff, make sure you hit save. Okay, that's pretty much it for the settings. In the next video, I'm going to go over some of the reports and whatnot. But this was the settings for pretty much, I went over some more stuff than covers the Connect system, the CRM. But nevertheless, a lot of our system is tied together with other parts of the system, so that was really mainly to get you up and going on Connect.